Hey guys, and welcome back to another English video. Today's English topic is going to be transitions and logical flow. So before we go into some practice problems, what I was thinking we'd do is I just, explain what transitions and logical flow are, and then explain what you should be doing for these types of problems and how to approach them. So first we have transitions, and transitions are simply like the words that connect two sentences or ideas. And so, for example, we have words like therefore, or but, or so. Like these are the type of connecting words that will connect two sentences together, and they do it in a way where we understand the logic of the argument or the person speaking. So for example, therefore, right? If you say one thing, therefore another thing, right? That means that one thing caused another thing. But if I were to say one thing, but this thing, right? Then it says this thing happened, but despite that, this other thing happened. So we have these words which kind of give us the logic of what the speaker is saying. So for example, I can say I hate hot dogs, right? Because I hate hot dogs, okay? And then I can write another sentence saying I bought, or let's say I really want to buy a hot dog, okay? It wouldn't make sense for me to want to buy a hot dog without saying when I hate hot dogs, right? So I would need to clarify that, and the way I could do that is putting in one of these transition words and saying but. I hate hot dogs, but I really want to buy a hot dog. It still doesn't explain why we want to buy a hot dog, but it explains that what we're doing is like against what we would usually do, right? So this but is what is kind of pivoting the sentence. On the other hand, we could say, right, I hate hot dogs, therefore, right? Therefore, I really don't want to buy a hot dog, right? And that makes sense as well, because I'm saying I hate hot dogs, so I don't want to buy a hot dog, right? So would work here as well. But each of these different transition words has like a different logic, and you need to pick the right one. Like it's not every transition word will work everywhere. So that's what a lot of these questions are about, choosing the right transition word. I actually think this is one of the easier topics, but it's different for everyone because we use a lot of these while speaking without even thinking about it. Okay, the next thing is logical flow, and that is kind of zooming out because transitions are looking at like words and how two sentences combine, but logical flow is like the overall structure of the passage. So, when we write essays, we're always told to write with an introduction, with two body paragraphs, and then end with a conclusion, right? So that's how it is. It's basically the organization of the passage. If I'm writing an essay about why cats are better than dogs, and one of my paragraphs could be like, cats are cuter, right? And then I could write a paragraph about how cats are cuter. And then the thing is, those like sentences are grouped by the fact that cats are cuter. So I do have some organization, and it kind of flows logically within the passage. And that's what logical flow is referring to. Okay, so now let's do some practice problems. If you guys have seen my other English videos, you'll know that I've done this passage before. It's slightly different from what I've done before, so yeah. And if you want to pause and read, then go ahead and do that now. Read and try and answer the questions. Okay, so now I'm not going to read the passage to you guys. Let's just go into question number 1. What is the best way to combine sentences 6 and 7 to clarify the relationship between ideas? Okay, so before, let's just go and read 6 and 7. And just a tip for these shorter passages, or I guess passages in general, always read the first sentence of each paragraph because it will always be the subtopic. Okay, so the public library serves a truly critical role in promoting community. There has been an explosion of digital media in recent years. This now allows people in different places to communicate almost instantaneously. Okay, so what we're seeing here is that sentence 6 is talking about how digital media has grown, and because of that, people can communicate more. And the key thing here is that this caused that, right? The fact that there is more digital media allows for people to communicate, right? So now let's go look at our answer choices. A, there's been an explosion of digital media in recent years, since people in different places can now communicate almost instantly. Well, no, this is the exact opposite of what we want, right? Because we said this happened, and that caused this, but the way this is written, it kind of implies that this thing happened first, right? People could communicate almost instantaneously, and that's what caused the explosion of digital media. But no, it's the other way around, right? So that's why A is wrong. B, there's been an explosion of digital media in recent years, although it now allows people in different places to communicate almost instantaneously. Well, this doesn't sound good too, right? Because the although makes it sound like it wasn't intended. Well, it was intended, right? The explosion of digital media was intended to allow people in different places to communicate almost instantaneously, right? Although it doesn't really clarify that this directly caused that, right? Which is what we're trying to find. Okay. In addition to the explosion of digital media in recent years, people in different places can communicate almost instantaneously. Well, again, this doesn't really clarify that cause and effect. It says in addition, which kind of says that both of them happened at the same time or at an equal level, right? We're saying this happened and this happened, right? The explosion of digital media happened and people can communicate. But no, one of them caused the other, right? And this answer choice doesn't properly convey that. So we can eliminate C. Now, by process of elimination, the only correct answer choice must be D, but we might as well just read it. With the explosion of digital media in recent years, people in different places can now communicate almost instantaneously. Well, yeah, this kind of shows that cause and effect we want to show, right? The explosion of digital media in recent years, right? That caused people in different places to now communicate instantaneously, right? That is showing that cause and effect that we wanted to find, which none of these other answer choices do. So that's why the answer is D. Okay, let's move on to question number 8. Which sentence can best follow and support sentence 9? Okay, well, let's go to sentence 9. We might as well read 8 as well. And yet many people complain of feeling more isolated and alone than ever before. The library stands in a unique position to help community members meet this universal need for connection and companionship. Okay, so this last sentence is talking about human connection and companionship, and it's in a unique position, right? So we should be looking for a sentence that kind of shows how the library provides that unique human connection and companionship that no other place, especially something digital, can show, right? So that's something we should be looking for. E. Libraries, which have been around for centuries and are found throughout the world today, help preserve the history of a community. Well, this doesn't make a lot of sense because, we're not really talking about the history of the libraries. We're not talking about the fact that they can be found around the world today. We're not, right? We're not talking about the fact that they've been around for centuries. I want to know how libraries provide a unique sense of community, and that's just not really stated. This goes off topic, right? F. The public library is often used as a place for community leaders and organizers to host community events such as hearings or town halls. Okay, well, the problem with this answer choice, which sounds pretty good, is that it's too, right, it's not very broad. It doesn't cover the whole scope of the passage. It kind of, we want to end broad, and now it's kind of zooming in again. So it sounds better than E for sure, but that's why this answer choice is wrong as well. G. Libraries rely on a combination of local, state, and federal dollars to provide the kinds of services and programs that community members have come to expect. Well, again, this is just going off topic, right? We never talked about federal dollars. This is not the point of this paragraph. The point of this paragraph is to talk about the unique connections and, the way the library serves the community, not anything to do with federal dollars and how they are used, right? So that's why G is wrong. And H. At a public library, people can interact with others through a variety of programs, including teen book clubs, toddler story times, and senior citizen exercise classes. Well, this makes the most sense, right? Because we're trying to look for a sentence that shows how the library provides that unique sense of community. And now we're seeing teens, toddlers, and senior citizens all have options at this library. And it's literally telling us people can interact with others, right? This is very clearly community. So H is the best answer. Okay. Which transition word or phrase should be added to the beginning of sentence 12? Well, let's just go read. Okay, so if we're adding something to the beginning of sentence 12, we need to read sentence 11 as well. We need to reread that. So we're just going to read that. A student who does not have a computer at home can research and type a paper for school. And an unemployed adult without access to the internet can make use of the library resources to find job opportunities. Okay, so what I can tell you already is that we see that these are both 11 and 12 are both examples of how the library's computers can be used, right? So these are both examples proving, right? A student and an unemployed adult, they are both examples of how the library provides computers for the public. Okay, so let's just go back. A, for example, well, let's just go back. A student who does not have a computer at home can research and type a paper for school. For example, an unemployed adult without access to the internet can make use of library resources to find job opportunities. That does not sound very good, right? Because the whole thing is this is equal to this, to sentence 12, right? It's not like one is above the other. So you can't say for example, because this isn't like making a point. If you were to say for example, you would be making a point, for example, and then giving an example. But the thing is, this is an example as well. So it wouldn't make sense to say example, for example, and then another example, right? B, similarly. Well, similarly makes a lot of sense, right? Because we're combining two examples. So you can say one example, similarly, another example, right? So that sounds like it would be the best answer to me. Let's underline it and see if there's anything better. C, indeed. Okay. Indeed doesn't really make sense because indeed kind of affirms something, right? But here we have two individual examples. So you would use indeed when you say something and then you say like yes, and then you continue proving it. Like you say, in fact, like even more, right? So that's when you would say indeed. But we're just using two different examples here. So that doesn't make sense here either. And then D, as a result. Well, no, as a result wouldn't work either, right? Because we're doing two examples. So one didn't happen as a result of the other. By putting as a result there, you're kind of saying that adults can use computers because students use computers, which is completely not what we're trying to say, right? Which is why D is wrong and it has to be B. Yeah, because it's the only one that kind of answers that. It follows that unique structure of they're both examples, right? Each one of these, like for example, as a result, and indeed, all kind of follow a cause and effect relationship. This is the only one that kind of allows them both to combine without saying that one caused the other. Okay, where should sentence 19 be moved to improve the organization of the fourth passage? Okay, so let's go read the fourth passage. Sentences 15 to 19. Public libraries also offer a variety of resources to community members. One important resource is the local librarian, who does far more than check out books and collect fines. Other library resources include free or low-cost tutoring and training programs. Additionally, lectures, book groups, and town meetings promote critical thinking and community engagement. A typical librarian holds a master's degree and can help library patrons navigate through the flood of information available in print or on the internet. Okay, so it's asking us where should sentence 19, which is the very last sentence, be moved within the paragraph. Okay, so the first thing I'm noticing here is that sentence 19 is about librarians, right? A typical librarian. Where did we talk about librarians? In sentence 16, one important resource is a local librarian. So I'm already going to tell you that 19 is either going to be before or after 16. So let's see if we can eliminate any answer choices. Well, yeah, it's not going to be between sentences 17 and 18, and it's not going to be before sentence 15. So we're already down to two answer choices, B and C. Now, the question is, does this go before or after the sentence 16? Well, let's read 15 and 16. Public libraries also offer a variety of resources to community members. One important resource is a local librarian. Okay, So one thing I can tell you here is that this is a variety of resources, and then this is one important resource. So these flow pretty well together, right? Putting this here, let's see how that would work. Public libraries also offer a variety of resources to community members. A typical librarian holds a master's degree and can help library patrons, right? That doesn't make sense because we didn't introduce a librarian yet. Why are we suddenly talking about a librarian? It doesn't make sense, right? So if this flows well, 15 to 16 flows well, and putting 19 in between the two wouldn't work, we have to put it after. So let's try putting it after. Who does far more than check out the books and collect fines. A typical librarian holds a master's degree and can help library patrons navigate through the flood of information available in print or on the internet. That sounds so much better. So 19 should come after sentence 16, not before it, in order to preserve the flow of the passage. So 19 should come after sentence 16. So it should be answer choice C. Okay. Which sentence is irrelevant to the argument presented in the passage and should be deleted? Okay, so we have a few sentences here. Let's just go read them. Sentence number 3. Even with all these immediate sources, one of the best resources also happens to be one of the oldest. Well, I mean, this is part of the general introduction, and it's referring to the library. I don't think this is necessarily irrelevant, right? I mean, it could be, but I wouldn't consider it. So I'm going to eliminate that for now, at least. Sentence 11F. A student who does not have a computer at home can research and type a paper for school. Well, this is definitely not irrelevant information. This is very relevant, right? This is proving a point that the essay is trying to make, right? It's providing an example. This is definitely not irrelevant to the argument, right? This is directly supporting the argument. G is sentence 13. A library selection of materials, known as its collection, can include classic novels, reference books, magazines, periodicals, CDs, and DVDs. Well, what does this really have to do with the argument, right? The overall argument is that libraries are important in today's digital world, right? For connection, for promoting community, for free assistance, stuff like that, right? So, I mean, telling us what types of CDs and DVDs and stuff isn't really important. So that's why I would be pretty sure it's G, but let's just try H as well. The hallmark of the public library is that its materials and services are accessible to all. Well, no, this is exactly the argument they're making, right? So this can definitely not be irrelevant to the prompt. So that's why H is without a doubt wrong, and that's why I'm pretty sure G will be the right answer, and it is the right answer. Okay, 13. Which concluding sentence should be added after sentence 21 to support the argument presented in the passage? Okay, well, let's just read sentence 21. The library connects people to a network of information and resources and is an important part of community. Okay. Finally, patrons of the public library can grow both in their interpersonal life and their level of community engagement. This sounds pretty good, but we need a broader ending, right? You never end. The last sentence of a paragraph of an essay is always going to be a broad ending, right? So you're looking for one of those things like it's not going to say in conclusion, but it's going to be like this very it's not like a summary, but it's kind of like ending it off nicely, right? And A is kind of providing a very specific part of the argument. It's only talking about patrons, which were only briefly mentioned. It's not kind of referring to the overall argument. You want a sentence that kind of touches on everything and ends it off, and this is not doing that. B, clearly, it is in the best interest of community members to maintain, support, and use their public library. Well, yeah, this answer choice sounds pretty good because it's summing it up, like I said, and it's talking about maintaining, support, and using and community members, right? This is kind of hitting on everything talked about in the passage. So that's why I very much think it's B. Okay. After all, the public library has been a part of American community since the first one was founded in 1833. Well, again, this is history. This has nothing to do with the passage. It is definitely not the last sentence. So C is very clearly wrong. And D, in the end, community leaders must work together to find ways to generate more involvement in the public library events. Well, again, this is kind of referring to a very smaller thing with community leaders. I mean, the library serves as it's said in the passage, a lot more than just community leaders and the events they hold. So this is too small, and this is too small. So the only thing that is broad enough and irrelevant is B, and it is the correct answer. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, please comment. Other than that, feel free to email us, and please like, share, and subscribe. And just keep watching because we're going to post more next week.